Wow, it's like back to episode 1. Hey, we're on episode 10.
Okay, every 10th episode.
We've made it. 10 episodes.
Every 10th episode, we'll
do something ridiculous.
Go back to wine night.
Every 10th episode is wine night. Do the 100th episode?
We're getting lit. Here's the honest truth. We
love transparency.
We tried filming this already. We were gonna do a New Year's resolution episode.
It was honestly touching. We touched on some really good topics.
It was romantic.
However, the lighting was absolute trash. So
the second thing we were going to do is introduce ourselves because we have a lot of new followers. And so we just wanted to do a quick hello. Welcome to the fam. My name is Paige. I'm co-founder and CEO. I'm not going to tell you if I'm older or younger than Kelly because I
hate this game.
Because it doesn't matter. Who's older, who's younger.
The people that will watch this video will know.
Yeah, our 10 followers who actually watch the video will know who's older and younger. My favorite food is the most versatile food of all, the potato.
Great.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, all day, every day. My favorite color is leopard print. I have a dog named Charlie, aka Bobo's, aka Charlie Bear, aka Bobo Bear, JoJo's,
Jojo Berry, Doodle Bob, Maple Bar,
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Toasted Marshmallow, Dinky. She's not Dinky, she just got a bath. And yeah.
This is great.
Fun fact, I can blow bubbles out of my... I
don't want to go over this again.
Breathe out of my left eye.
Paige can whistle out of her left eye and it needs medical attention.
If I go underwater and plug my nose and blow hard, bubbles come out of my eye.
We will be going to urgent care at some point for that, but...
So that's me.
Okay. I'm Kelly. I'm co-founder in CBO. I'm the one that's posting all those marvelous Instagram posts you love. My favorite color is Tiffany blue. And my favorite food is probably what? Don't you say what you're going to say. I was going to say, I think it's Greek food. I'm messing around with Greek food.
But that's a cuisine. My favorite is Mediterranean, but I'm saying, favorite, food.
One thing. Avocado toast.
That's what I was going to say.
Dude, we have avocado trees. They're just everywhere. And it's so easy to make. It's nutritious. I really stand by the avocado toast. Very versatile, different toppings. I understand it. I'm in the normal distribution when it comes to basic things. I'm in there. I don't care. I'll follow it. If most people like it, I'll probably like it too. That's the way the world works.
Well, most people don't like canned tuna and...
Oh, I fuck around with canned tuna. I catch my own tuna and I still love canned tuna. And I think that's all you need to know about me.
So on that note, we're going to play a game.
We couldn't think of anything better to do, but we found this old game in my drawer. It's called Who's the Biggest Pervert? Warning.
We'll do a little disclaimer,
if you don't think these things are funny, we're not going to get too raunchy in here. We're businesswomen. We're professional, but
we also pride ourselves on being authentic and transparent, so we're going to throw some facts out there. Here we go.
And on that note...
Have you ever propositioned a homeless person?
Define propositioned.
We go to Vegas and I tell Kelly. But Kelly got propositioned by a homeless person. Go to Vegas, I tell her, I'm number one rule, don't talk to them, don't make eye contact with the homeless people, don't talk to them.
It's so hard.
I know, there are people too, I know. So, Kelly, one guy says, hey, what up? And Kelly...
He said, have a good night, and I said, whatever. You too.
Kelly said, you too. Next thing you know, the guy's at her car window knocking, asking for a little Kelly sandwich over here, so...
I just have too much pep in my voice, and it welcomes people in.
You were too excited.
I know. God, I loved wishing him a good night.
He's like, yeah, we about to have a good night.
Yeah. I don't think we can put any of this in a video.
Oh, fuck, dude. What do we do?
This is too much.
This is a lot. Well.
I know.
So, what's new?
Nothing much.
Kelly and I just had this conversation about leaning into being our most authentic selves. And I think that's something that we're both very aware people. And so sometimes it makes it a lot. It's great. I mean, I love that I'm very aware, not only of my surroundings, but of who I am and my interactions.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like it does make it harder to, at least for me, to be an extrovert, because I'm so extroverted and outgoing, and I speak what's on my mind, and I blurt things out because in the moment, I don't care. And then I realize, like, then I sit and I dwell on it for hours, and I think about it. I'm like, oh my God, did I hurt that person's feelings? Did I say the wrong thing? Like, could I have worded that better? And so it's a blessing in disguise. But one thing that Kelly and I were talking about is just leaning into being our most authentic selves. And we obviously talk about the future of MCREY all the time. And like right now, we're not at a place where we have so many social media followers and like people like pick us apart, but there probably is going to be a point where we have social media followers, and people are going to pick apart our every single word, every phrase. And I personally, but I think this goes for both of us, want to be in a place where I am so confident in myself and I love myself so much that if someone picks apart what I have to say, I don't care, because I know that whatever I said was with goodwill and was without malice and
just honest.
Honest. And I think I feel like I'm definitely getting to that place. Like, I think I've spent the past most of my 20s like really beating myself up over it and being really insecure about being who I am. Like, there's half of me that would really lean into being the extroverted, like, woohoo party girl. Like, I am the woohoo girl, and in certain situations I would really embrace that and I'd come alive. And then, the next day or after the party or whatever it is, I'd let other people make me feel really bad about that. And I struggled with that for so long, but I realized it's because I wasn't confident in myself. Like, I didn't love myself in general, and so it made me so much more insecure, and I tiptoed around who I was. Whereas now I feel like I'm in this place that I love myself. Obviously there's still work to do. No one's perfect, but I'm heading in a direction where I love the life I'm building. I love the life that I live. My friends, the people that the people I surround myself with, the things that we get to do, this business. I'm no longer working dead-end jobs. And so it's this really cool place where I'm confident in myself. I love who I am. I love the life I'm building. And so now when I say things or when I embrace that woohoo girl, the outgoing extrovert, I don't feel bad about it. That's who I am. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, kick rocks. Like,
yeah, well, cheers that.
Cheers that.
Yeah, cheers that. Yeah. How Paige is obviously very extroverted. If you listen to our podcast, she's speaking.
Our podcast? We have a podcast?
Our podcasts, like the ones we do with people.
Oh, like,
yeah.
I like thinking like our podcast, and I'm like, I'm secretly being filmed.
I've been secretly filming it.
Okay, secret out. We have a podcast.
Like podcasts or even at trade shows. At trade shows, I'm able to come like a little bit more alive. I definitely do better, like in person, like talking to people. But I just have learned to accept that I'm introverted, and I think sometimes I've tried to fight that, and sometimes I do have to put on an extrovert mask, especially when I'm like going to work and I'm interacting with several people, or like when we're at shows. And I also love being friendly, but it's also just like a lot more exhausting for me than it is for Paige. And sometimes it's okay for me to just be quiet. Like, I used to feel really guilty about just wanting to like be there and be quiet and like do my thing in the corner. And I'd be like, I'd be looking at like Paige or someone else that's like rocking the center of attention, like making everyone, I'm like, should I be doing that? And I think I'm learning just like sometimes like I'm okay being center of attention if it's like naturally comes, but if someone's like, do a little dance monkey, I'm like just like,
is this what you want?
Yeah, I'm immediately overwhelmed and want to run away. So that's been like a really interesting thing to learn about myself, and that sometimes I do get social anxiety just because I haven't given myself time to re-energize, or I'm having too superficial of connections, and like too many of those can be really exhausting for me. And yeah, I don't know, this whole last year has been like really interesting learning curve for the two of us, and we've learned a lot about the language to help describe like what's going on in our differences, because we are very different. And I think us being able to like find this language and not necessarily like sticking to exactly what an introvert and an extrovert is, like those are still fluid terms, but it's definitely helpful to like put a word to something that we can identify with. And I'm like, oh, because now I can like look at like extroverted stuff, or I was diagnosed with ADHD, and Paige does not have ADHD, so it like really helps me to like learn about myself and for Paige to learn about me and vice versa. So it's just been an interesting year of like learning about ourselves and accepting those parts of ourselves, and that everything we are is actually just superpowers in disguise. And if they don't have control, and if we aren't aware of those things, then of course they can't get out of control, like we were talking about, and you don't feel confident in yourself. But as soon as we started to like figure these things out, and we have each other to support us, and you find other people supporting you, it's nice.
This is the year of finding your most authentic self and then loving it for the rest of your life. That's why Kelly and I are able to be so aware just as human beings, is because we both are empathetic and we care what people think about us, and we don't want to make anyone feel excluded or there's another word that I'm trying to think of.
Excluded.
And
not welcome.
Well, it's like excluded, like
Unvalidated.
Yeah, I don't know, validated, excluded, judged. Like, we never want anyone to feel like that, and that's
you do you.
A huge part of, I think, the MCREY community is, we kind of talked about that in a previous episode, but I mean, I think more people could be aware and more people could be empathetic. We need to show a little bit more empathy, and I'm not saying everyone has to love everyone and like, because I think that's super unrealistic, but if every single person was a little bit more aware of how they reacted to others and how they perceive things, situations, the world would probably be a little bit of a better place, because then we'd all be acting out of love and confidence as opposed to getting defensive and being selfish.
Yeah, like people would just not be friends, not because there's like this negativity or like
you would
just not be friends because if you're both authentic and you just don't mesh, then you just don't mesh, and you're like respect, but we just don't.
Yeah, and if you were both authentic, then you would both respect that you're like, hey, we're just not meant to be friends. Yeah, cool. As opposed to like someone starting drama and talking hella shit about like she's a bitch, she doesn't want to be my friend, and it's like,
well, just because you guys aren't alike doesn't make that bad.
Like, listen here, I'm not a bitch. I just don't want to be your friend because we're not alike.
Yeah. I think, I really struggled with that. Like, I was immensely insecure for most of my life, and I've been really insecure, and I've let my emotions get the best of me, learning that if you have ADHD, you tend to be really emotionally impulsive. And I think I look back, and out of insecurity, I would attack other people, and I would like rationalize things in such an odd way to make myself feel better or justify a situation. And I look back at those situations, and I guess now, especially doing this work with Paige, like I feel like this is the most like hands-on relationship that I've had to do work in. Like, but like, you know what I mean? Like even in my like partnerships, like romantic relationships, I don't think I was this aware at any point to like have these conversations. And like, so I'm learning a lot from our relationship, in that I never really took the time to understand that people are just coming from different backgrounds and origins. And like, even though we grew up in the same household, like we had completely different experiences growing up. And like, it's just interesting now looking back, like I would have been, which I'm sure everyone does. And I don't have regrets. I'm not mad about who I was. And like, sure, do I wish sometimes I could have gone back and done something differently? I probably would have been a lot better of a person in a lot of situations knowing what I know now. But have to give myself a break. I'm also only 26 years old, and I'm glad I'm at least realizing it now, so I'm not like a grumpy old clam with no friends. But I just think I could have avoided like so many fights, and I tried so hard to please everyone else that I wasn't trying to be fake, but like at that point I wasn't being authentic. So who was I really being real to if I'm just trying to please everyone and make everyone feel validated and happy? And I think I could have been a lot more true of a friend versus just like the nice friend that'll always have your back. Like I could have been a lot more truer of a friend, and I'm glad I figured it out now. But it is pretty crazy like how many times that I was just like, well, that person sucks, like their reaction, just because they didn't react the way I did. But I don't know anything about them at the end of the day. Like just because I know where they grew up in their family, like I don't know what they've been through. I don't know what they think. Like at that point I didn't know they were extroverted, introverted, mental illness. Like there's so many things that you don't know about someone. And most people we interact with, unless it's your best friend, like you're only seeing a snapshot of their day. Like if you're with a coworker, you're literally only seeing that person at work or the person at the grocery store that snapped at you. Like you just don't know what anyone's going through. So it's my thanks for coming to my TED Talk about finding the origins, and you just gotta let everyone's right in their own way.
If you've ever worked in customer service,
some not so great people out there, but there's a reason why they're acting the way they are, and I think most people are well intentioned. It's just,
but I think coming from someone who has made a lot of mistakes in their life, I've hurt a lot of people. Just not that I think I'm a bad person, like I think I'm a phenomenal person, but I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, and I've hurt a lot of people really close to me. And especially in my younger 20s, I was acting out of a place of insecurity, mostly that, like insecurity, unawareness. And even for someone who is extroverted and confident and like outgoing and social and like all these things that people would label me as from the outside, like I had a lot of insecurities on the inside. And I no longer feel bad about those things or who I was then. And I, obviously I'm the first person to apologize if I did something wrong or to admit that I was wrong. But it just, for anyone that's like going through that now, even if you're in your 30s or 40s or, it's like you might not be in your young 20s, that just happened to be my time frame. But like, it's okay. That doesn't have to define you. You can absolutely change, and you don't have to beat yourself up over it every single time you do something stupid. I still do stupid things. Mm-hmm. Not as much. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I was just nodding like I was still listening, and then you said that because my ADHD brain was just rolling with you. That was a perfect moment. So sorry. You're still doing stupid stuff.
Okay, I didn't think it was that bad.
Oh my god, that's so perfectly timed. I was just trying to time my nods like I said it's me. I can't.
Looking back, I'm like, why did I need to do that? And obviously, I'm a firm believer everything happens for an opportunity. We're firm believers that everything happens for an opportunity. Yeah. I am the person I am today because of those experiences. I don't take them back. I don't regret them. And I think there are so many more people who go through those types of situations, especially in your young 20s when you just graduated. You were legally able to drink like a year ago. You're supposed to have this full-time job. It's like you're 22, you're supposed to have this like corporate full-time job and expected to be a functioning adult in society. It's like you're 22 years old.
I'm 26 and still not doing
that. The timeline isn't give and take. Yeah, but I just don't want anyone to feel like you're alone, because you're not. And it has happened to the best of us, and happens to a lot of us, even if people don't want to talk about it. And you can still be a CEO of a company. Like,
it's cliche, but I think we're realizing now it's never too late to be who you want to be. Like, and it's taken me a long time to like forgive my past insecure self, because because I'm like, look back and I know that I'm capable of more than what my high school self thought, and that I did like not so great things, and I think most of us have, and the first step is freaking admitting it. Like, honestly, it took me till now to admit that, like, I haven't been like the greatest person I can be, even though I like lived to be this.
Honey, no one is.
Honey, no
No
one
one
is.
is.
But just, I think admitting that we've all been impulsive and we've all made mistakes and we've all done things to our friends we're not proud of or to a family member, and then being able to take a step back and like realize that you were in the wrong, or like it's usually not all one person's fault. Like, it takes two to tango. There are situations otherwise, but like in general, like I think taking ownership for your part and being able to be like, I'm sorry, and moving forward, because you can't live in the past. It's just going to hold you back, and it's really never too late. And the people that really care about you, also cliche, but like I've still had friends from like high school and college that love me and have like grown with me, and there'll be people that don't grow with you, and people that are uncomfortable when you become more conscious or like become more of yourself, and people are like, whoa. Because maybe for me, I had a hard time building boundaries with people. Like, even with Paige, it's taken me a lot to tell her like how I feel sometimes, because I'm so used to pleasing other people that it's hard for me like in a fight to tell her that I'm upset, because I don't want to exacerbate the situation. But like I have to share how I feel, and like realizing now when I tell her, she's like, okay. I was like, whoa, like I can just say how I feel, like that's crazy. And but it's huge. And yeah, it just I think too, it's not just on an individual level. I mean, the work has to be done on an individual level, but also, you and I talked about this in a previous video, like society definitely doesn't help. I think that the way we thought our society sometimes makes us competitive, and we just want to be better. And we kind of hope people, there's literally psychological studies that show like if someone's doing worse than you, it makes you feel better, which like,
I mean,
if you compare it, you're like, yeah, there's people that are literally living on the streets. And if you think about like, well, I have a bed and shelter, like that kind of makes you a little more grateful for your life. Like that's literally the psych study. So, but that's sad at the same time that like we have to have people under us to feel better. Like if someone's being mean to you, why not be like, wow, there must be a lot going on in their life, and then move on, instead of being like, that person's a bitch, and then like we end up spreading rumors that probably aren't even true because you don't even know that person. Yeah. But like we make up society. So like if we all start doing that work on an individual level and like start forgiving people, like maybe someone was a piece of shit in high school, and like maybe they have changed a lot now, like give them that chance and meet them where they're at, because it's so unfair to not meet people where they're at.
I'd also like to address that. I completely agree. I was going to say, I would like to address that. I feel like half of our language from today's episode is sponsored by Corona Soto, life and relationship coach. So, dear Corona.
Dear Corona, today I made a new friend.
Dear Corona, you'd be so proud of me. So if anyone wants to make some major life changes,
highly recommend Corona Soto. Change your life. Truly
not biased because
freaking wizard.
She is a wizard.
She's a wizard.
Not biased because she's my best friend in the entire world other than you. But after that comment,
but she's magical genius.
After that comment, she might move above you.
Okay, well,
if I get married this weekend.
Okay, so if you had a MySpace and you had
Corona might go first.
But yeah, she's a wizard. She's a wizard.
But seriously,
and she literally poofs your feelings, and you're like, oh my god, I'm a better person.
I think more work than that. And lots of tears.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, yeah.
But yeah, so that
was our slight ad that we don't get paid for.
She did not pay us for that.
No.
But I just love how this was supposed to be like a drinking wine answering perverted questions video, and it turned into pretty serious, but also...
Yeah, I don't think I have ever said those things out loud to anyone but you or Corona. This is actually the conversations we normally have, like in the car and hiking.
Yeah, for anyone that like thinks that this is like scripted or like for show, these are the conversations that we have in the car on the way to events
that we're nervous to share. Usually.
That we're like, fuck, those are the things we need to film. Like those are the conversations we need to film, and then we get in front of the camera to do YouTubes, and we're like, okay, answer questions, but like, I think
we just admitted some of our like deepest insecurities.
I know. That's what I was gonna say. Is like, I think we're you know, if we're going to preach authenticity and transparency, and that's the community that we're building, like that's what the MCREY brand is about, then it has to start with us. And so, you know, I will try to do this more where we're just having these really in-depth conversations and filming them and sharing it with you guys. And it's, you know, it's a lot. It's really, this is really scary. Like it's, but I think
it's good though.
That is all.
Dude,
Time to finish this baby off.
I need to eat.
No, you don't. I got your dinner right here, baby.